biopsy or just therapy. Because if they have elevated ALT because of fatty liver and they have no fibrosis from hepatitis B, then it may not be reasonable to commit these patients to lifelong therapy for chronic hepatitis B. Even though we have fairly safe and well-tolerated medications, it's still not very ideal for someone to be on long-term or lifelong therapy with small but finite risk of antiviral resistance or other complications. We have options between an injectable form of therapy with PEG interferon and various oral medications. And in general, interferon for patients with hepatitis B e antigen negative type almost always relapse when we stop therapy. So I generally would go directly into the discussions of oral medications. For patients with chronic hepatitis B e antigen negative type, and because we expect that they will be on therapy for many years, then I would choose the medications with the least long-term risk. So with the available medications now, the only two medications that I would recommend for these patients for long-term use would be entecavir and tenofovir. Both of these medications have pretty good track records and data to show that they have very low risk of antiviral resistance with long-term use, and long-term that we have data now is in a matter of 3 to 5 years or so. So I think that that's pretty good. I would feel pretty comfortable with that in terms of the drug resistance risk. In terms of the other risk, both of these medications are very well tolerated. So once we decide that we'll treat a patient, then the next issue that a patient would want to know is that, okay, so if I take these drugs, then am I going to be cured? And what do I have to do next? They have to be on the medications long-term, lifelong, basically. So once we stop the medications, almost everybody will relapse and generally would relapse within a matter of weeks or months. Now, how do we monitor these patients and what do we tell the patients? So guidelines generally recommend that we monitor patients every 3 to 6 months. So my own preference, anytime I start patients on a new medications, any kind of new medications, I like to see them back within a relatively short time. So I usually see them back within about 3 months or so to just make sure everything's okay, there's no unexpected side effects, make sure they take it, because there are actually some patients, they take the prescription, they go home, they thought about it, they talk to someone else, and they may not started. So if they come back, then you have an opportunity to reinforce the need for it, to convince them to take it if they haven't started to take it, or maybe we'll find out some new barriers. I have found many patients who start taking it for a month or two and then had to stop because the copay is just way too high for some of these patients. So then we have an opportunity to help them find some coupons or apply for some assistance program. So in general, I see them back in 3 months, check their hepatitis B DNA levels, check their ALT levels, and also their renal function. Because with both entecavir and tenofovir, metabolic acidosis, lactic acidosis have been reported. So I just check it just to be on the safe side. And then if the patient is on tenofovir, then I check creatinine every 3 to 6 months for the first year, and then probably once a year or so afterwards. And because most of the patients are older, and especially if they have a high blood pressure or diabetes, then even when they're on entecavir, I also check their creatinine. Not because entecavir causes renal toxicity, but if their creatinine becomes elevated for other reasons like diabetes or hypertension, then you need to adjust their dosage for both tenofovir and entecavir. So those are what I generally monitor. Because the patient have e antigen negative type, then we don't need to check the e antigen status anymore after the initial evaluation. And how often do I monitor them after the first 3 months? Then in general, I monitor the patient every 3 to 6 months. So if the patient lives far away, or if they are young and reliable, every 6 months is probably good enough. But if the patient is hesitating in taking the medication in the first place, then I would check them more often to have opportunity to interact with them, to reinforce it, and to monitor them some more. Now, there is some other markers that are not really in practical use right now, but in the future it may have a role, and that is a quantitative hepatitis B surface antigen. We know the most about this in patients who take PEG interferon. We know that the decrease in the level of surface antigen correlates with clearance of E antigen. So it's not so relevant in the population that we are talking about now. They E antigen negative already, and they are taking oral drugs. The data for oral drugs is starting to emerge, but very preliminary. So something to think about, but right now the use is still somewhat limited. For patients on therapy, long-term adherence is probably the most major issue. So every physician or provider would have their own style of how to approach this. So my personal belief is that even though the patients may not need to see you often, the frequency of seeing the doctor remind them that they have the problem. You know, if we know that we have to take a test, then we have to study for it. So if they know they have to go see the doctor to review the results, then they will be more motivated to be compliant and to take their medications. And also every time they see us, we have another opportunity to explain to the patients how important the medications are. So in patients with chronic hepatitis B, especially those who have advanced fibrosis, a lot of scarring or cirrhosis, they can have a major flare if they get off the medications. So sometimes I really emphasize that to the patients for their own safety, and also to motivate them not to quote-unquote slack off. Because if they have a flare and they are not being monitored, then they can really go into liver failure. And we occasionally see patients who flare after they take off medications, and to the point that they even have to get on a liver transplant list. So I mentioned these to the patients to make sure they are aware of that, and hopefully to be kind of scared of it a little bit so that they would not get off the medications, or at least get off and not telling you. And one thing I find useful to tell the patient, especially the patients on entecavir, is that to take it at night when they brush their teeth at night before they go to bed. Because for entecavir, they need to take it on empty stomach. So some patients, if they take it during the day, then they will eat something, and then they'll say, oh, because I eat, so I just skip it for that day. So I just tell the patients, and I write it on my prescription, that you take it at bedtime. And then it's just become a routine, like we brush our teeth before we go to bed. And hopefully that may help some patients. And then, how do we know if someone is responding well? So we check the DNA levels. In general, most patients, I think, would decrease their DNA dramatically with both entecavir and tenofovir in the first 3 to 6 months. So there are some expert guidelines to recommend that if someone who is not negative, meaning still have detectable HBV DNA levels at 6 months, then you may consider altering their medications. And since entecavir and tenofovir are both very potent and good medications, then does it make sense to switch someone from entecavir to tenofovir, or switch someone from tenofovir to entecavir? We really don't have any data to support that use. So in general, when we consider someone to be a suboptimal responder or partial responder to entecavir or tenofovir, generally we would add a second agent. And what to add is another area of fairly big unknowns. What I do personally at this point is that I tend to add entecavir or tenofovir to the regimen. But I generally don't add at 6 months. I usually give patients at least a year. Unless the patient having cirrhosis and decompensated disease that I really want them to be well ASAP, then I would do that at 6 months. But if the patient is well compensated, is asymptomatic, then give them some more time. If they show that they already went down fairly well, then give them some more time. Maybe all they need is another 6 or 12 months. So I usually wait around a year, and sometimes even a little bit longer than that before I commit the patients to two drugs. So in summary, when we treat patients with chronic hepatitis B E antigen negative type, then the goals are to completely suppress the HBV DNA to undetectable level and to normalize the ALT, unless the ALT elevation is partly due to existing cirrhosis or fatty liver, or the fact that the patient may be on another medication causing mild elevation of ALT.